Hi, my friends. I hope this is working right. I just turned the thing around. Okay. Hey, good morning. It's Thursday. Um, we are in the book of Luke, and I finished on chapter 22, verse 60. So these chapters are really, these chapters are long. So anyway, I hope you all are doing well, and I have decided that after I'm done reading the Bible all the way through, that I'm going to be stopping my YouTube channel. Um, and just to let you guys know, I will be on Facebook, so you can always look me up there and just tell me that you were a subscriber, and then you can see, what I'm doing. There's just not enough interest in what I'm doing. To keep it going. I don't see the point, you know. And and I'm not paid to do this kind of thing, so I need I need time to do other things, with my life. So, it's good to know all of you, and the ones who would send me comments and stuff. Especially Thomas and Billy and my other YouTube subscribers who have their own channels, and Andrea and Mississippi Dave and Tony from God Rules and Sons of Thunder and stuff. So I've been doing this. Probably at the end of this will be about 3 years, as long as Jesus' ministry was. So I've done, quite a number of videos that, that will still be on YouTube. I'll just leave them there for people to listen and stuff. I'm just not going to be actively on it, after I'm done. I might reply to some comments and stuff, but probably not, probably just let, the world handle that. I did what I wanted to do, and that was to show that it is okay to be gay and be a part of the LGBT and Q community, and also to be accepted by the Lord. And that was, my main purpose. And I think I've pretty much shown that with my own life, my own fruits, and ultimately I have to stand before the Lord. So, so I did what I could with that. I've also done 50 years of interpreting for the deaf community here in the Southern California area. And so now I just kind of want to, concentrate on some other things, like my music for one, which, I really need to work on. And if I want to get good at it, in the short amount of time that I have left, So, and maybe cheer up some folks around here, with the music, or maybe do a couple coffee houses or something like that, or even at maybe even go to a hospital or convalescent place or whatever, and just do my music for them. So that's why I need to practice and do well, and and I'm sure that they don't care that if I'm perfect or not, but that's just the way I am. I didn't want to just be in track and field. I wanted to go to the Olympics, and so that's just built in me. So anyway, so we'll get on with it. We are Christ is being arrested, okay? And so verse 60 starts off with, "And Peter said, Man, I know not what thou sayest. And immediately while he spoke, the cock crew." So he had already denied Christ 3 times. "And the Lord turned and looked upon Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, and how he had said unto him before the crow, Thou shalt deny me thrice. And Peter went out and wept bitterly. And the men that held Jesus mocked him and smote him. And when they had blindfolded him and struck him on the face, and asked him, saying, Prophesy, who is it that smote thee? Many other things blasphemously spake as they against him. And as soon as it was day, the elders of the people and chief priests and the scribes came together and led him into their council, saying, Art thou the Christ? Tell us. And he said unto them, If I tell ye, ye will not believe. And if I also ask you, you will not answer me, nor let me go. Thereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of God. And they said, they all, Art thou then the Son of God? And he said unto them, You say that I am. And they said, What need we any further witness? For we ourselves have heard of his own mouth. Okay, chapter 23. I'm just going to get right into it, okay? The whole multitude of them arose and led him into Pilate. They began to accuse him, saying, We found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ a king. And Pilate asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And he answered him and said, Thou sayest. And then Pilate to the chief priests and to the people, I find no fault in this man. And they were the more fierce, saying, He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. Then Pilate heard of the Galilee, and he asked whether or not this man was a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged into Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at that time. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him, and he hoped to have seen some miracle done by him. And when he questioned him in many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and the scribes stood and vehemently accused him. And Herod with his men of war set him at naught, and mocked him, and arrayed him in a glorious robe, and sent him again to Pilate. Same day, Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were at enemy between themselves. And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and rulers and the people, said unto them, You have brought this man to me as one that perverteth the people. And behold, I have examined him before you, and found no fault in this man touching those things whereof you accuse him, nor yet Herod, for I sent you him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. And I will therefore chastise him and release him, for of necessity he must release one unto them at the feast. And they cried all out at once, saying, Away with this man, release us unto us Barabas, who for a certain sedition was made in the city, and for murder was cast into prison. Pilate, therefore, willing to release Jesus, spoke again to them. But they cried, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. And he said unto them the third time, Why, what evil has he done? I find no cause of death in him, and I will therefore chastise him and let him go. And they were instant with loud voices, requiring that he might be crucified. The voices of them and of the chief priests prevailed. Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required, and he released unto them him for sedition and murder was cast into prison, whom they had desirous, but he delivered Jesus to their will. And as they led him away, they laid hold upon one Simeon of Caesarea, coming out of the country, and on him they laid the cross, that he may bear it after Jesus. And there followed him a great company of people and of women, who also bewailed and lamented him. And Jesus, turning to them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. And then they shall begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and onto the hills, cover us. For they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry. And there were also 2 other malefactors led with him to be put to death, and they were come to the one place, which is called Calvary. There they crucified him and the malefactors on the right hand and the other on the left. They said, Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They parted his remnant and cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself. If he be Christ, the chosen of God. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar, and saying, If thou be the King of the Jews, save thyself. And the subscription also was written over him in letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, This is the King of the Jews. And one of the malefactors that were hanged and railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us. But the others answering rebuked him, saying, Dost not thou fear God, seeing that thou art in the same contamination? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man hath done nothing amiss. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. And it was about the 6th hour. There was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. Now, when the centurion saw what was done, he glorified God, saying, Certainly this was a righteous man. And all the people came together to the sight, beholding the things which were done, smote their breast, and returned. All of the acquaintances of women that followed him from Galilee stood afar off, holding these things. Behold, there was a man named Joseph, a counselor, and he was a good man and just. He had selected counsel indeed of them, and he was Arameus, a city of the Jews, who also himself waited for the kingdom of God. This man went to Pilate, begged for the body of Jesus, took it down, wrapped it in linen, and laid it in a sepulchre. And the day was with preparation, and Sabbath drew on. The women also came to him from Galilee, followed after, and beheld the sepulchre, and how the body was laid. They returned, prepared spices, ointments, rested on the Sabbath day according to the commandment. And that's the end of chapter 23. I'll continue later. Thanks. Love you. Bye-bye.